find you for over a year. It's an honor to meet the Wolverine.
That's not who I am anymore. For many years, I have wanted to thank you for saving my life. But I didn't send for you only to thank you, Logan. I wanted to repay you. A gift to equal the life you gave me. You have struggled long enough. I can end your eternity. Make you mortal. What they did to me, what I am, can't be undone. Don't be so sure. Not healing. What the hell is happening?
So the Wolverine trailer has finally been released, and the good news is that it's not as bad as it could have been, but I think that it's not as good as it could have been either, and I think that's going to divide a lot of fans when they see this trailer. There's going to be the purists, the comic book purists, and then there's going to be the movie fans who are just like, oh, you guys take this too seriously. I find myself somewhere in between. My biggest problem with this is that I think that it just looks like a B picture, the kind that Mark Wahlberg and Jason Statham have found a lot of success with, but it's not a blockbuster, it's not a comic book movie. I feel that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And also I'm disappointed. I know you're gonna feel, oh Grace, you're such a purist, and I take a lot of heat on the Superman stuff, but I really dislike changing why Wolverine goes to Japan. Here they're having a thing where it's like, oh, he's brought there by Yukio and these people. And in the comic, he's drawn to Japan on his own. He makes a choice to go there because he's drawn to the teachings of the samurai, and it helps him with his berserker rage. And I think that's just a much stronger choice, I think, narratively and thematically. Because you never want your main character to be a pawn in his own film. And I don't see Wolverine making a lot of choices here. I see Wolverine, being pulled around a lot, and that's something that kind of plagued him a little bit in the X-Men films, because, he was like, who am I? Help me, everybody, discover who I am. And he was able to get away with that a little bit there because the character was being introduced. But on the page, Wolverine is great because he's a decisive character. He has kind of his own, it's off kilter, but his own moral center. And to do this to him and to make, to kind of create this change, I'm not loving it. And I can see that some Fox executive or maybe Jackman himself would be like, oh, let's test Wolverine by taking away his healing factor. And I think there's some legitimacy to that, but I don't think this is the story to do it. Because I think that's not why he goes to Japan. This isn't the story that it's supposed to be, and it doesn't have the weight, therefore. You just create a situation where it's another Wolverine gets experimented on and loses his sci-fi, but the only difference here is the backdrop is Japan, instead of that being like an integral part of the story. That's how I feel about this. I feel that Hugh Jackman is trying very hard. I think he was just miscast to begin with, personally. He's good in the role, but he's just not Wolverine. He tried to get Darren Aronofsky, and it just did not work. Darren Aronofsky was on board, but then he dropped out. But I feel he was on the right track there with trying to get an indie director, and he should have stuck with that instead of going for James Mangold, who's certainly capable, but he's giving this movie this kind of slick sheen. And I'm sure that a Fox executive or a movie fan who's not into the comics would say, well, the Avengers is very slick and bright, but that's just not Wolverine. He's not that kind of character. He's more of a Clint Eastwood, darker, this should have like a Western kind of feel to it, an Asian Western. And it's just frustrating to see Fox continually miss the boat on what makes the properties that they luckily own work. And so that's my problem with this movie. I will see it in theaters because I like enough of what I see. I do like the Japanese setting very much. I do like some of the characters that they have. Although when I watch this trailer, I'm just like, Quentin Tarantino did it better with Kill Bill. And I think you never want to have those comparisons drawn for your film. But again, you know, it's not what I was hoping for. I think it's not what Jackman was promising when he was promoting this film. And it'll be interesting to see how it's accepted. So what do you think? Is this enough of a improvement over X-Men Origins Wolverine? And it certainly seems to be, to get you back into the theater. Do you think that Fox is, you know, clawing their way back to being someone who does a good job with their comic book movies? Because they did start all this. They did do a good job in the beginning with the X-Men. But I will put an asterisk on that, and that even Fox's successful X-Men movies were never really X-Men movies, even though I did like X2. But still, I think that as comic book movies become more sophisticated and taken more seriously, Fox needs to get on that boat. So again, what do you think? Will you see the Wolverine in theaters? Do you think I'm being too sensitive? And do you agree with me that changing Wolverine's reasons for going to Japan is important? And do you think that this healing factor thing is a cool enough of a obstacle that you're like, yeah, this is cool, it's exciting. So write your thoughts down below. And as always, thank you for coming to be on the trailer, not just for these latest trailers, but these quick snapshot reviews. Thanks for watching. Bye.